In this video we're going to be taking the New Balance SC Trainer 2 out on an 18-mile long run to find out if it really is as good as I think it is. What is up everybody, and welcome to 40 Runs, and yes, our long run test of the SC Trainer 2 from New Balance. Now if you didn't know, I'm running the New York City Marathon thanks to the guys that believe in the run and New Balance. Big shout out to both of them. And one of the shoes that I was sent for training for that event was these, the brand new SC Trainer 2. Now this is one of these super trainers that I believe are the sort of new norm. They're meant to do, I think, everything from sort of recovery, easy day, couch to 5k, everything, all the way through to marathon. I really do think that they can literally do everything. You know, most of them have got carbon plates in there and the technology pulled in from the sort of race day shoes like this. This has got the Fuelcell from the Elite, or like some of it. You've got the Energy Arc, the carbon plate in here as well. And you've got elements of that race day shoe, but then you've got a sort of daily trainer focused upper and comfort on the shoe. So this is the new norm. This shoe for me is marathon training specific. This is the shoe that, you know, we've been putting into the long runs and moving into the bigger distances, and I wanted to give it an opportunity to see if it could shine on today's run, which was 18 miles. It was a mixed pace run, mixed terrain with elevation, and I wanted to see how it could cope with that. So let's strap the shoe on, let's head out, and I'll come back here and then we'll talk about how it performed. So just over 18 miles, 18 point something or other, at 9.2 miles per mile as pace. We had the elevation up and down. I'll probably put something up on the screen in terms of what we was running and also the final run. We was mixed pace, like I said, that we would do in the shoe. We was sort of 9:30, 9:40 down to sort of, I was running at 7s at one point, but I dropped it with about mile 13 and just came lower and lower and lower and really pushed on. With the pace, the mixed terrain, we was down the rivers and canal and towpaths, we was on roads, and we was on sort of lumpy and bumpy cambered stuff as well, which was not great. It was wet as well in parts as well, so it literally got everything in today's 18-mile run. It was a warm day as well, which I think is important to make a note of because of the breathability of the up. I'll come on to that. But yeah, so overall, I don't think you could have got a better test than it got today. Okay, so look, long story short, the shoe did exceptionally well, and I'm now going to tell you why. So firstly, at the sort of easier pace, I've tried to move my pace, easy pace down a little bit in terms of speed, so it's got a little bit quicker. But the shoe felt great. On paper, this shoe shouldn't suit me, but it does. The Fuelcell seems to work with the plate. I don't feel particularly unstable in it. I don't have any negative impact on my legs, which I had in the first version of this shoe. I think a lot of that comes from the wider platform that we've got here, where it's been stretched out here, and also obviously you've got the plate and the lower stack versus the other version. But the shoe felt stable at those slower paces. The outsole was brilliant down the canal and towpaths. It ain't going to come out, but I've got lumps and bumps out of the Fuelcell midsole now. I've even scratched the carbon plate here as well. Can you see that? I've scratched the carbon plate, oops. But yeah, that was fine. Lockdown was brilliant. I got a lovely lockdown in the shoe. Didn't have to adjust that at all when I was out on my run. Didn't feel hot at all. Felt really nice and breathable. The comfort was actually one of the big positives of the shoe today. But so cruising along at those sort of easy paces, it felt great. It felt easy. It felt propulsion-ish. I felt the compression of the Fuelcell giving me something back, and it was just really easy to run those paces in. In terms of the elevation, so look, it's not particularly hilly around here, but the hills that we were doing, we picked a hilly run for us, long slow hills, which is what New York is going to get over the bridges. The shoe done really well because I picked the pace up, so you know, it was at 9s and I dropped it to 8s to go over some of the bigger hills, and the shoe really helped me by picking up and getting on that plate and sort of working and helping me up the hills. On the downhills, the shoe felt great. Obviously, you're coming down, so the compression of the foam's greater. But it wasn't unstable. I didn't really feel like I was bottoming out or anything like that. It was enough cushion in there to soak up some of that downhill that we was doing, which was really good. And again, the lockdown really helped there as well. And I think the big thing from this shoe, which really came to the forefront, was when I dropped it. So at 13 miles, you'll see if you follow me on Strava, the pace started coming down. And like I said, I ended up at 7-minute miles towards, as we got to 17 miles, I was down at 7-minute miles, and the shoe just felt fantastic. It really was great. Fuelcell, carbon plate, off you go, and it just felt quicker. And it sounds funny, but the longer I felt like I was striding, the better the shoe got. It was just majestic's a strong word, but it's close to that. And I think that's the thing. The shoe really was effortless at those paces. It really was a joy to drop it down there. Now I wouldn't run a marathon at those paces. But 8 and below, it was fantastic. It really, really was. It was so much fun and so easy to run in. I don't feel like beaten up, and that's the other thing I think you've got to give the shoe credit for, because of the bigger stack and the foam in it. I don't feel like I've done 18 miles today. The only negative of this shoe that I can see really is its price, and I think it's gonna hold a lot of people back or put a lot of people off from buying it, and it's a real shame, because if this was like in that 160, 165, 70 maybe price range, then I think it would open it up to a lot more people. It's still a lot of money, by the way. It really is a good shoe, but it's too expensive. Now, obviously, I'm very lucky that I got sent this by the guys at New Balance, because I probably wouldn't have bought this shoe myself. It's because on paper it wouldn't work for me, and I'm glad they sent it to me, right? Because honestly, I really enjoy running in it. I enjoy running it in London in the week if I've got 6 miles to do at goal pace. It's a great shoe to do that sort of stuff in. But today, on the long run, and that's why we wanted to do it, the long run test, it really proved that it can handle everything that I've got and everything I need to throw at it. And that's why it's one of my favourite long run shoes at the moment. There's this, the Super Blast, and the Kinvara Pro. Now you're going to say in the comments, Fordy, which one would you buy? The Super Blast or this? To be honest with you, I'd probably go Super Blast if it was my own money, because the Super Blast I don't believe has as a shoe that can really compete with it. It's just a phenomenal shoe, right? This is a great shoe, so don't get me wrong. But the Super Blast, I think, is head and shoulders above everything else out there in terms of marathon training at the moment. But in terms of these super shoes, these super trainers, sorry, this is hard to beat. The biggest problem is this shoe is 200 and something quid. I just wish it was 160, 165 pounds, because then everybody would probably get behind it. But yeah, look. Long run test, it passed with flying colours, and that's the purpose of this video. It's a phenomenal marathon training shoe, and it is something I would run, and I may have to run in the New York City Marathon, so let's see on that front. But yes, very, very pleased with this shoe, people. Very pleased with it.